We got you updated. This is Radio Imanzi News in English.
You are tuned to Radio Imanzi, broadcasting from Kigali. Here is the news in English, brought to you by Fiona Omogano. The headlines. President Paul Kagame, who is also the Commander-in-Chief of the Rwanda Defense Force, has promoted and appointed 7 senior military officers. Prosecutors have pinned Kabuga Felicien on key role in genocide as the Hague-based UN court commenced hearing his case. The trial of former Guinean leader Moussa Dadis Camara and other former officials over the September 28, 2009 stadium massacre opened in the capital, Conakry. Welcome back. News in detail. President Paul Kagame, who is also the Commander-in-Chief of the Rwanda Defense Force, has promoted and appointed 7 senior military officers. According to a statement issued by the military today, 2 senior officers were promoted and immediately posted in diplomatic missions as defense attaché. Lieutenant Colonel Emmanuel Zindana was promoted to Colonel and immediately assigned as Uganda's defense attaché, while Lieutenant Colonel Frank Bakunzi was also promoted to Colonel and assigned as Egypt's defense attaché. Other appointments made include Brigadier General John Baptiste Mjiruwonsanga, who will now serve as head peace support operations at RDF headquarters, while Lieutenant Colonel Claudier Bizimungu was appointed Deputy Commander of Engineering Command. The President also appointed Lieutenant Colonel Foste Mafura to work as Deputy Commander Combat Engineer Brigade, and Lieutenant Colonel Jean-Paul Munana is going to serve as Commander Combat Engineer Brigade. Another appointment was that of Lieutenant Colonel Innocent Kaisire, who is now the Managing Director of Horizon Logistics, a subsidiary of Horizon Group. According to the statement, the promotions and appointments are to take immediate effect. The new land law, which was published on June 10th, is expected to reduce the number of court cases involving land issues, among other benefits, according to the Minister of Justice. Minister Emmanuel Ujira-Shebuja made the observation during a meeting with legal advisors from various public institutions in the country who had been summoned to discuss the new land use law. According to him, the new legislation is more progressive in that some land disputes do not need to go to court and can be resolved through available alternative justice mechanisms. Commenting on the role of legal advisors in the implementation of the law, he said they will be involved in resolving some disputes and also will play a big role in interpreting the law. Francine Uwase, land mitigation specialist and state attorney in Rwanda Land Management and Use Authority, says the new law addresses issues such as land boundary disputes and land registration, among other things. For instance, she said the changes include how foreigners can obtain land and how people can obtain government land to develop for the public good. Owasa revealed that the new law restricts foreigners from owning land in order to avoid problems caused by a large number of foreign land owners. Commenting on the extent this law will respond to land issues, she said a lot has been answered and they believe if the law is implemented appropriately, it will answer issues raised before the new law. A delegation from Ethiopia's Ministry of Peace has expressed desire to follow in Rwanda's footsteps of unity and reconciliation as they took part in the celebration of the completion of a 15-week training program on societal trauma healing in Nadama sector, Bugesera district. The training program on societal trauma healing was offered to both survivors and perpetrators of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi who served their time in prison and were integrated back to the community. It was organized by Interpeace, an international organization for peace building that supports locally led initiatives around the world. Asma Reddy, the Director General of Nation Building at Ethiopia's Ministry of Peace, said Rwanda is a historical country which has passed through trauma and managed to rebuild. He noted that Ethiopia has been going through something similar because of civil wars. They are learning from what happened in Rwanda 28 years ago and how Rwandans have managed to rebuild through unity and reconciliation. Prosecutors have pinned Kabuga Felicien on key role in genocide as the Hague-based UN court commenced hearing his case. The case happened in absentia, where Kabuga was said to be safe and sound, but refused to either come to the hearing or to follow the hearing online. The 89-year-old, who was a businessman before and during the genocide, is charged with 7 counts including genocide complicity in genocide, direct and public incitement to commit genocide, attempt to commit genocide, and conspiracy to commit genocide. Other charges include persecution and extermination, both as crimes against humanity. He is being tried by the International Residual Mechanism for Criminal Tribunal, which took over from the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. During today's hearing, the prosecutors presented to court their opening statement, in which they detailed how Kabuga provided weapons, financial and moral support towards the atrocious genocide against the Tutsi. They said in detail how Kabuga enjoyed the trappings of power before and during the genocide, which he partly derived from his personal ties with ex-President Juvenal Habyarimana. Prosecutors said Kabuga's 2 daughters were married to Habyarimana's sons. Prosecutor Rashid S. Rashid told the court how Hate Radio RTLM was a brainchild of Kabuga, which was established to propagate hate towards the Tutsi in the run-up to and during the genocide. He said the infamous radio picked up the mantle of Hutu power propaganda, rebroadcasting much of the anti-Tutsi material, including the infamous speech by Lewo Mugesera, in which he called for the throwing of the Tutsi in River Nyabarongo so that they can go back to where they came from by way of River Nile, to which Nyabarongo is a tributary. During the session, the prosecutors played a couple of clips from RTLM's broadcast of that period, where among other hate propaganda they called for the merciless killing of the cockroaches. Among other things, the prosecutors narrated how on the 17th of April 1994, the RTLM studios were hit by an artillery shell and temporarily went off air, and Kabuga showed up at the scene and was heard encouraging the journalists to continue facing up to the Inyenzi. He visited the Red Cross hospital to check on Noel Hitimana, an RTLM journalist who was injured in the shelling, and here, according to a witness account, Kabuga was heard telling him about a store of weapons in Gikondo, where he had a large commercial warehouse facility. An eyewitness cited by the prosecutors said the Interahamwe converged at the building on the morning of 7th April and were loaded onto vehicles belonging to the businessman. The prosecution argued in conclusion that the evidence will show that Felicien Kabuga, acting in the cause of extremist beliefs, played a key part in bringing about the crimes and the almost unimaginable suffering that was unleashed across Rwanda in 1994. The proceedings of the court will continue tomorrow. Economic news is a regular feature on Radio Imanzi. The Rwanda Stock Exchange Market Report. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 286,068,000 Rwandan francs worth of bonds traded in 2 deals on the fixed income market and 5,062,300 Rwandan francs from 30,000 shares traded in 8 deals on the equities market. Bank of Kigali closed the counter at 272 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 1,244,200 Rwandan francs from 4,600 shares traded in 3 deals. I&M Bank counter closed at 43 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 105,100 Rwandan francs from 2,500 shares traded in 2 deals. Bradwa closed the counter at 170 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 3,713,000 Rwandan francs from 23,200 shares traded in 3 deals. The rest of the equities counters closed with Simirwa at 120 Rwandan francs, M10 Rwanda at 176 Rwandan francs, Equity Bank at 440 Rwandan francs, Kenya Commercial Bank at 370 Rwandan francs, National Media Group at 1,200 Rwandan francs, and the Chumi Supermarket closed the counter at 104 RH Buffalo at 526 Rwandan francs as the market closed. The currency market review of today. The Kenyan shilling buying price was 8.5 Rwandan francs and the selling price was 8.7. Tanzanian shilling buying price was 0.44 and the selling price was 0.45. The British pound, the Ugandan shilling buying price was 0.26 and the selling price was 0.27. The Burundian franc buying price was 0.49 and the selling price was 0.5. The US dollar buying price was 1,031 and the selling price was 1,051. The British pound buying price was 1,113 and the selling price was 1,136. The euro buying price was 999 and the selling price was 1,018.
Some items of international news on Radio Imanzi.